Hey, welcome back. Y'all, my professional hand claps make me feel so good. Anyway, welcome back to the show. We're standing on business today. That is the title of today's show. I just want to take the time out right now to ask you guys to follow me. Always just watch the show on what you're most comfortable on, whatever platform you're most comfortable on. But I want you to follow, like me also on YouTube. I have a YouTube channel called Essential Pedagogy, and I am an amateur at my YouTube channel, but I'm going to start making it more interesting, guys. So you need to kind of hit me up on the YouTube channel. Look at there, right there. Follow me and like my stuff, y'all, and look at some of the things in the past. Today, I want to talk to you guys about standing on business. I got started doing this podcast because during the pandemic, I developed a compassion for parents and friends alike when they were asking me to help them with educational needs. For so long, teachers, all educators, and we still are kind of looked upon negatively in society. And a lot of people say, oh my gosh, you guys deserve so much respect. You deserve so much money. But the laws don't support that. You know what I mean? So we're not putting our money where our mouth is because people do what they want to do. And so if you really love a teacher, then there should not be a teacher who does not get some of the supplies they need in their classrooms. There should not be a teacher who is asking for things, but you should be attentive to a teacher enough to see what maybe some needs that may not be met through regular means. I want to talk to you guys about standing on business because I am mentor to a couple of teachers, and I have a couple of teachers that, although they're wonderful teachers, I have a couple that are very new to the profession. And so right now I mentor a couple of teachers while I have a full class load of children, 5 classes. And so what I'm seeing so much is not a lack of professional couth, not a lack of professional language per se, not a lack of actually a knowledge on how to teach children. That's not a where I see room to grow with most professional teachers, right? Professional educators. I see the room to grow is really standing on business, really sitting back and thinking about why you're doing the things that you're doing, and not just why you're doing things, but what you are being paid for. So standing on business is really thinking through what you're being paid for. You're not being paid to save a child from a heroic standpoint of some of these teacher movies out that I cannot stand is, oh gosh, I can't even think of the names of them, but they put a picture out in society that this one teacher who may teach language arts or literature or what have you, takes on this pet project of a lost soul who didn't have good upbringing or was abandoned, and now we've taken them under our wing, and they start coming to our classroom every day after school, and then now they live with us, and I take care of this person, and now they're going to be a productive part of society. And I understand that sometimes people see things on TV and they try to make that a reality. And so then they tank in the real world of the classroom, because what you see on those movies and what you see on television ain't the real. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about how to stand on business in the classroom, and then outside of the classroom. And when you have professional conversations with people that may be tough conversations, right? A lot of people will say, "Oh, well, that's confrontational," or I don't want to cause problems. But there's always going to be a space where there are imperfect people. There's going to be a space where you have to have crucial, uncomfortable conversations. And so that's just part of a leadership job. And if you're in education, I don't care if you're a first-year teacher, you are in a role of leadership, because you have to communicate hard things to people. And you know what? I say this all the time to my niece, and I hope my niece and my sister are watching, but I say this all the time. Black girls can do hard things. I say it all the time. So you can have we are the most educated sector in the world, Black women, and I'm proud of that. Now, that came from a necessity, because we have to take care of ourselves in most cases. A lot of Black women are unmarried. Not that they have never been married before, but they are unmarried, and they are tasked with being a co-parent, a single parent, or just someone that is responsible for their livelihood and their own future solely. So we have to do hard things. And one of those hard things is standing on business with our language. Now, whether you are Black, white, Asian, what have you, I want to talk to you about language that can leave the door open for people to interpret what they want to interpret. And then language that does not leave anything up for discussion. And it does not have to be mean, but it is standing on business. Now, I'm in the business of education. I'm not in the business of making a child happy. I'm not in the business of allowing a child to enrich their social life. I'm not in the business of making someone feel good just because. I'm not in the business of that. I'm not in the business of allowing someone to use a challenge that they may have as an excuse for them to opt out of learning. Okay. So in a lot of these cases, you can have some difficult conversations. So say, for instance, you have a child that likes to blurt out, who may have challenges in self-control, who may be on medicine for this thing or another. But it doesn't change the fact that as a classroom teacher, you are responsible for making sure the classroom climate is such that everyone can learn. And maybe blurting out is not an environment that will nourish that, right? So you have to control that. And yes, Lily, Tommy, whoever may have a condition where they have a hard time controlling it. But best believe, with the educator who means business, it is controlled for an extended amount of time. So when we have tough conversations, maybe about grades, maybe about behavior, maybe about a myriad of things, we are wanting to stay away from language that says typically, maybe, might, would you, could you, sorry, optional. This is not language standing on business. Now, I'm not saying you have to be mean, but not allowed. Yes, not up for negotiation. These are your options. Those are opposite languages that can let a person know where they stand and not leave the door open to where they can make their own path in a situation where there's not, right? I feel like the worst situation a classroom educator can be in is be a person who has a language of yes, no, not up for negotiation, and work under a principal, assistant principal that says typically, maybe, might behind your back. I'm also going to tell you how you can navigate that too, because I've had experience with it. Okay. So when a child asked me to go to the restroom, in my mind, as the adult, I have lots of things I'm responsible for. So I'm responsible for you to get some kind of academic learning and the cycle of learning done that day. Not just anything, but an introduction, a lesson that I am giving that I lead the learning on. Then there's a part of the lesson where we all join into the learning. And there's a part of the lesson where there's independent practice. And then there's a close to make sure that we understand what should have been learned that day or reinforced that day. And I'm sure that the children do not have any confusion on what they should have learned that day. So there's a little cycle in every day that I see my students, and I have to do this in 45 minutes. Now, the rule at our school is no one goes to the restroom first 10 minutes of class. No one goes to the restroom the last 10 minutes of class. So the first 10 minutes, we're going to typically, okay, do our warm-up kind of session. It's something that the students do at the very beginning of class to get them engaged. So if someone needs a nurse pass, if someone is giving me a pass for coming in late, if there's some kind of any type of emergency, there's lots sometimes, or and attendance. I take attendance at the very beginning of class. I don't typically do this. This is what I do. So I have a routine in my head about what I do every single day so that it is not neglected. One of the reasons why attendance is so important is because we are responsible for children every moment of the day. And since we are responsible for children every moment of the day while they're in our space, I need to report to someone, did Bobby show up? I work in secondary education, so there are lots of reasons why Bobby would come to first period and not to second. Maybe Bobby had a prolonged nurse visit. Maybe Bobby was in the assistant principal's office. Every whereabout of a student should be documented and accounted for. And I said should. You heard that language? That's kind of wishy-washy, right? In my space, as far as what Miss Powell is in control of, I know where my students are at all times if they came to me first. Now, if they didn't come to me first, I may not know that they were testing with another teacher. I may not know that they were at the nurse. I may not know that they were involved in some altercation. I may not know that they were in the bathroom and they decided just to, hey, I got to get this, restroom business taken care of, right? Until they come to me. But once they come to me, I can correct attendance. I can say whether it's excused or not excused. And that's if you have a pass. That is not up for negotiation. So I'm not going to say, oh, I'm accepting that you were at around the corner and Miss so-and-so's, Miss TikTok. I'll just say that I'm making up a name. Miss TikTok's, her classroom. So since you said you were in Miss TikTok's classroom, Miss TikTok knows that she should write you a pass so that we can have documentation that that's where you've been. Otherwise, you're going to be counted tardy. That is not typically what I do. That is what I do. So So if there's a question about where a child is when they are supposed to be in my space, there's just no question. Because if I don't know, if I don't have a pass from where they came from, they could have been doing anything. They could have been playing around in the hall. Some Miss Innocent is playing around in the hall, hiding. We've had situations where someone was hiding somebody's shoe, his own brother's shoe. That's weird. We've had an incident where children were acting inappropriate in the restroom with other children, sometimes opposite sex. Not cute. So it's always our responsibility to make sure that children are where they're supposed to be. And if not, we have documentation about where they are. Now, so when you stand on business and you're consistent with standing on business and you have crucial conversations with parents, with other colleagues, with principals, with district officials, if you're consistent in standing on business, then you can use definitive language like no, yes, not up for negotiation. Say, for instance, a child had their phone out. If you're standing on business and the rule says that children are not supposed to have their phone out at any time except for lunchtime, then you are taking that phone. Now, we have people that in their heart, they don't want children to feel like they're picking on them. And in my mind, I'm not concerned about whether a child feels like I'm picking on them when they know the rules. When you're aware of the rules and we have communicated the rules, you've acknowledged the rules, especially in the past, especially by now, it is February, and you have your phone out, I am not negotiating whether you're giving this phone to me. These are your options. So this is where I come to, these are your options, because, a person can absolutely say, I'm not giving you my phone. It's not like that doesn't happen. Even to the most standing on business kind of person, it happens. But this is what I say. Okay. I caught a person who had their phone under their legs, and I saw it. And I said, give me the phone. And they said, what? And I said, you have the phone under your leg. Go ahead and give it to me. I didn't say, did you text on your phone? I didn't say, who you texting? I didn't say, are you trying to make a phone call? None of that. I said, give me the phone. Because I'm not negotiating the rule. I'm following through with the rule, and that's my position on it. I'm following through with the rule. Has nothing to do with your gender, your skin color, or anything. I'm following through with the rule. And if you're consistent with your language, then no one can say, oh, she's picking on me for whatever reason. Because the next question would be, did you have your phone out? If you thought I was picking on you, let's go back to why I was speaking to you in the first place. Did you have your phone out? Yes or no? So in that, and then you can force someone into definitive language, even when they're trying to wiggle out of having a consequence or suffering a consequence for their actions. So you could say, did you have your phone out? They'll say, hey, Robin. They'll say, well, I was trying to text my mom, as if that's an excuse. And I'll say, the rule says you're not supposed to have your phone out. I'm not going to address who she was texting. Doesn't matter. So a lot of people will start going down a rabbit hole. Well, it don't matter who you were texting. You're not supposed to be texting. And why were you texting your mama? I don't care who she was texting or why they were texting. I don't care if she was texting at all. She had it out. The rule says you don't have to have it out. You can't have it out. So if you can't have it out, give it to me if I see it. Because now I'm turning it in, and it's a possible fee in order for you to get it back. And this is why you'll get some pushback. But if you stand on business, and if you get the pushback, this is what you can do. Are you complying or no? If you're not complying with giving me the phone, then the result is I'm going to write you up, and you'll possibly be in bigger trouble. Complying, yes or no? I was calling my mama. Complying, yes or no? Complying, yes or no? Complying. I'm going to say complying about 3 times, and then I'm going to walk to my desk because I'm not going to raise my voice. I'm not going to disrupt class any further with having a 5-10 minute conversation. I've seen some videos of teachers having a whole lot of talk and not a lot of action. And that is, I feel like, one of the things that new teachers suffer from is inaction. Look, you can't just talk about it. You got to be about it. So, and you can't be afraid to be about it. So you got someone who, children who can't leave the room for 10 minutes before and 10 minutes after class. That leaves you a good 25 minutes. And that's not a lot of time to do much. So you got to be about your business at all times. You cannot waste time arguing back and forth with what the rule is. We're not negotiating rules. I'm executing the rule. That's what we do. So then when we have a crucial conversation, which I've had crucial conversations with parents, one parent had asked to see if he could see the test. And I said, certainly, sir, you can see the test. You'll have to come up to the school so I can show you the test because of test security. we use certain tests year after year, and we just make some minor changes. So we cannot risk test security by sending tests home with the child so that you can go and make copies. And then whoever your next kid in line gets to see all the tests because you asked. No, sir. You can come up to the school and see the test. It's not typically, we don't send tests home. That's not the language. The language is, no, we do not send tests home, but you can certainly see the test if you come up and we have a conference. My time available for conference is next week, Wednesday at 4:00. Is that a good time for you? Definitive language. We're not going to say, well, we typically don't do that, or let me see what I can do. That might be an option. It is not, and we're not going to promise something that it is not an option. Not a little bit. We're not going to leave the door open a little bit, because when you leave the door open a little bit and it's up for other people's interpretation, then when they're disappointed, then that's when we have blow-ups. But if you tell people from the very beginning, that's not going to happen, but this is what I can do for you, you can come up and see the test, and we can show you exactly what your child answered for these questions. Certainly, I'd love to do that. So it's amazing how people try to avoid talking to somebody in person. I don't even know where this came from. Why we don't talk to people in person no more is beyond me. Or why we don't want to call someone on the phone, beyond me. Now, I understand people lie. And so that's why we follow up with an email, so that we all have the understanding about what went down in our conversation, person to person, or over phone conversation. So we could just clear up misunderstandings, fogginess, what you think you understood, what they thought they understood, and what reality is. I think things get escalated when there's a misunderstanding, when we have wishy-washy language around our crucial conversations. And that's just what it is. I'm finding that it happens so much. And if we just stand on business, then we can solve some of these petty issues and talk. What I want you guys to do is just tell me what kind of experiences you have had around wishy-washy language, or language that is not necessarily clear, um, or um, or definitive language. Sometimes people don't act like they don't understand. No, I mean, it happens a lot, not just in like dating relationship. No means no, but no means no when I tell you you can't go to the restroom right now. It's not a good time. And I'm not going to back down on that. A lot of people find it hard to say no. But since I have studied some biblical principles, and letting my yes be my yes and my no be my no is part of integrity. And I want to be impeccable with my words. I'm not going to say yes when the answer is no. I'm not going to say no when the answer is yes. So I want to be impeccable with my words. And I do find that true. Somebody just commented on parenting. And a lot of times I get on the phone with a parent, and the parent's language is, well, what do you think I should do? I don't know if I could take their phone. You don't know. Now listen. You might call me old school. I've been teaching for 22 years. But as long as I am a parent, that provides housing, clothing, food, water, because water ain't free. These children don't own anything, and I do not care if they got a job and they're paying for their cell phone bill. You don't own anything as long as you're dependent on someone to raise you, to clothe you, to feed you. You don't own anything. So, as parents, we have to make sure that we understand that you have the authority to make decisions that is going to be for the best interest of your child. That includes if your child asks for a hoodie instead of a coat, and you know it's going to be 16 degrees outside, that feels like 10 degrees, 6 degrees. It don't matter if they didn't ask for a coat. You are the authoritative figure in the household. You are the adult. You buy your child a coat because they might need it for the winter months. Doesn't matter what they want, because you are responsible for their well-being. When you are responsible for a child's well-being, then you make the decisions. Sometimes they're hard, sometimes they're easy, but you make those decisions. You don't back down from those decisions because you know your responsibilities. You are standing on business. And so I'd love to see more parents be this way. You get to choose what they eat all the time, every time, all the time. They do not get to choose. It irritates me to hear people that say, they only eat fries or they only eat chicken nuggets. Who gave them the chicken nuggets? And how do they know chicken nuggets exist? And if you introduce them to chicken nuggets and they have an affinity to it, very good. The next time we have chicken nuggets, you may have it. But today we're having roast beef, carrots, potatoes, and green beans. You may have that. And we will not have chicken nuggets until mommy decides to have chicken nuggets. Do you believe that people in other countries at will just give their kids chicken nuggets or whatever that they don't have access to on a regular basis just because their kids want it? No. People in other countries where they eat rice and fish morning, noon, and night, that's what their kids eat, is rice and fish morning, noon, and night. It's a luxury to have cookies. It's a luxury to have ice cream. It's a luxury to have a different cuisine every day of the week. You may have Mexican one day, Chinese another day, Indonesian food another day. You may have all these different options in America, but that's not how it is in the rest of the world. So stop building our children's expectations on something that's fictional. And I think we do it all the time, and not just in eating, but in how we run our households. And I tell you that I have family members that suffer from this too. Not my sister particularly that I mentioned earlier today, but I have family members that suffer from this. They didn't ask for this, so I didn't get it. But it is 10 degrees. So I don't care if he asked for a hat. I bought him a hat. He gonna have a hat to put on his head to protect him from cold. So we just have to be more mindful in our personal and professional lives about standing on business, having definitive language, sometimes absolutes, because a child's well-being stands on absolutes. And it's not a wishy-washy thing. Either did we protect the child or not? Yes or no? Did the child come to this class at this time or not? Yes or no? So these are hard questions only if you don't stand on business. If you stand on business, you know if a child was there. If I put it on the attendance, they were in my class. It's just how it is. We have to stand on business as a lifestyle, guys. We have to be impeccable with our words. We do not have boundaries sometimes in our lives. And I feel like whenever we decide to have some boundaries in our lives and to have expectations of ourselves, then it's easier for us to be impeccable with our words. It's hard to be impeccable with your words when you have a wishy-washy boundary life, when anything goes on in your life. And so I just want to end the show today thanking y'all for listening to me and understanding that, look, when it comes to education, I'm standing on business. And I want us to thrive in this sector of our society and thrive for all children, not just children who have the means in their family to have an education, but all children who did not ask to be here, but have a very God-given right to try to have the life that they could create, and not because they have the money to, but that they have the desire to do better, to have a better lifestyle, to not only just have a better lifestyle, to expand their minds and thinking and understanding of other people. So I absolutely believe in that. I stand on business with that, and I will stand on business with that as much as God will give me the strength to do it and give me the grace to do it, and allow me to reflect his light to others. I will do it. And so that's why I do the things that I do. I thank you guys for watching the show. I just want to ask you guys to support me and follow me. Leave a comment. I was searching for comments the other day. Didn't get one comment, but I'm going to start making. I'm going to start giving you guys a little bit of a window to my personal life. I think not that I'm the most interesting person in the world, but I can make you kiki a little bit, and I think I'm going to let you have a little bit of a window in my personal life and vlog a little something here and there. Let me know if you think I should do that. I think I want to prepare myself to do that. So I definitely want you guys to follow me on whatever platform you like, but also just give me a like and a follow on YouTube, Essential Pedagogy. That would do me a solid. Your sister may not get raises for the next foreseeable future for 4 years because your boy don't like us, because he ain't like us. And I'm going to leave it at that, y'all. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.